To the Statesmen of Comedy, something a little bit different for tonight's show, a bit of rock and roll comedy crossover. And to that end, will you please welcome Red Symons, Wilbur Wilde, and Brian Nankervis. There we go.
Oh, thanks, Fred. Look, I'll take it from here. Willie, look, there's a lot of people here who love you very much and who care about you. And the only way we thought we could get you here was by pretending that we were making a television show. This is an intervention.
Yeah, somebody offered me water in the green room.
And so, gentlemen, how long have you been a Wiggles cover band? Brian, you have done a bit of rock and roll yourself lately. Yes. Through Rock Quiz, which you are the co-host and co-creator.
Co-creator, and loving it.
Yeah, great show, by the way.
Did a big tour, 35 shows all around Australia, and now we're back in the Gershwin room.
So who are you taking on tour with you? What musicians?
We took, who did we take? Tim Rogers and John Paul Young and Adelita to Canberra. Over
Kilby,
the west.
I saw.
Steve Kilby.
At the Palais, when you did the Rock Quiz there.
Yeah.
And 2,500 people in the biggest theatre in Australia is the Palais.
It's beautiful
and
theatre.
And he just works it as if it's like 100 people at the Espy. And it was fan-bloody-tastic. I love that Rock Quiz.
Thank you very much, Will. But would you like to be on the show?
Is it that obvious?
Is it?
But obviously you two go back a fair way.
Way too far.
So we've actually got a little bit of footage that I'd like to play from, I think you were both about 12 years old, appearing on Countdown.
There we go.
Next up, we've got Paul Kelly and the Dots with Billy Baxter. This is a hit.
The sax? Who played the sax?
This is a hit. Camilleri's fly-by-night production of Billy Baxter. Paul Kelly and the Dots. Let's go.
Well, I was going to say you've come a long way, but you're actually probably sitting in exactly the same spots as you were.
That's right, the same old studio.
Physically in the same geography.
How remarkable!
I know.
How did you look after yourself in those days?
Well, I was...
Obviously not at all.
Well, you know, it was probably the Israeli jazz diet back then, to tell you the truth, Brian. There'd be amphetamines and orange juice. Have a look at the skin. Have a look at the skin.
Yeah, but Molly Meldrum has been a bit of a constant in your lives over the years.
As he has done, that's right. Yeah. When Countdown finished in 1987, Red and I were firmly ensconced at Hey Hey It's Saturday, and Molly just jumped the fence. I mean...
Well,
he's always been like that.
What? You know, from the ABC to Channel 9, that's where he jumped.
I just had a stupid memory that I've recovered. I think Molly Meldrum was the first celebrity I ever saw in real life, because he was on Commotion on Channel O in black and white, miming songs, yeah? And I can remember, I must have been 17 or 18 years old, going into town and going to a coffee bar and seeing Molly Meldrum there.
Was he wearing the hat back in those days? Or was that pre the hat?
No, he had hair then. I've seen him without the hat on.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd be one of the only ones, because I recall we had one of the Hey Hey breakups. We caught the barge to Williamstown and then back. And Molly knows everyone on earth, right? Like, Madonna gave him a watch with a hologram of Tutankhamun on it, which was just worth an absolute fortune, right?
$30,000 or something.
30,000 or something it was worth. And, like, he goes to the Michael Jackson concert and he sits, like, listening to the radio to a St Kilda finals match with Janet Jackson going, who are you talking to? Who can you possibly, right? But we're on this barge, and John and Molly have had their moments over the years, and they were fairly charged up, and... Molly decided to push John off the barge into the cool, clear waters, or the cool, not-so-clear waters of the Yarra.
Yeah.
And John's popped up with his $800 glasses, which he'd just bought the day before, having fallen off his face into the drink, and just declared that he was going to kill Molly at that very point. So he's got back onto the barge, and Molly, knowing his fate, just jumped straight off. It is. And there's a moment where, like, we're all having a laugh and, like, you know, there's bubbles floating to the surface, and it just went that bit too long where everyone went, is he coming up or not?
He'd met someone down there.
He must have been down there for about a minute when he suddenly pops up to the surface with the hat still on.
Yeah.
And he raises his fist gun, "I'll kill you, John," and realises that his Tutankhamun watch from Madonna had sunk to a watery grave.
My first celebrity sighting, I reckon, was Molly Meldrum. Waiting for a tram. I was in year 9, so it would have been about 1969, and he pulled up in a car, and he was obviously listening to the radio, and we all thought, it's Molly Meldrum, Ian Meldrum, and he looked at us and he just went at the car and turned it up and was just, he was wacky then.
Loves his music.
No, but it is a weird thing. Whenever, I mean, it happens to us from time to time. You're that guy.
Because we used to joke about this, you know, because people would call out to us.
We're Red and Wilbur.
Red and Wilbur. They call out from the car as they went past. You go, "Hey, Wilbur!" You know, and the car just goes past. You know? And then if someone, you know, "Hey, Red!" You know.
And you remember that time?
No, I was just going to say.
Go.
Where people, and every now and then they'd be sort of like walking on the same footpath, and they go, "Hey, Wilbur, Red!" You go, "Yeah, hi." And that was all they could come up with. So, who's that guy in Ghostbusters? You know, Rick Moranis. Right? Mm-hmm. So we used to joke about this. So I'm walking down Fifth Avenue in New York, right? And I said to my travelling companion, I think that we'd come through Central Park, and I said, "There's the restaurant, Tavern on the Green, where, you know, that guy runs to in Ghostbusters, you know, and Rick Moranis." And she sort of went, "Yeah, I sort of remember that." And then she said, "I think that was him that just walked past us." And I called out, "Hey, Rick!" This guy turns around, and it was him. And I went, "Oh, that's all I had."
Well, here's one. Where's the weirdest or most remote place you've ever been recognised?
Paris.
Paris?
In a market in the Moroccan district, and a girl came up and said, "You don't like Christmas." And I said, "What? I'm in Paris. I'm loving this, and you're having a go at me." And she looked like, you know, a year 9 girl from Reservoir Tech. And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "I am an island, I am an isthmus, I come from Bermuda, I don't believe in Christmas."
Did she make a face?
And as she walked off, and I was bummed out. That's mine.
In 1980, when Jojo Zepp and the Falcons went round the world, and we played in London and then went to the Montreux Festival, which is in Switzerland, and it's in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and Joe Camilleri and I were walking down the street, and I asked 2 people, I said, "Excusez-moi, où est le casino?" This guy went, "Just down the fucking road, Will."
Well, I had a thing. I took the family up to. We were staying in Queensland. I took the family to Australia Zoo, and we just sort of paid at the gate. I'd met Steve a few times, but I sort of hadn't phoned ahead to let him know we were coming or anything. But we got sort of a couple of paces inside the gate, and we were met by one of the staff saying, "Oh wow, it's great to have you here. We'll take you on a tour behind the scenes and all the rest of that." And they entertained us for the whole day. And we went back to the gate at the end, and we said, "Oh look, thank you so much. It's been a great day." And they said, "Our pleasure, Mr. Guest."
Yes. Well, we actually all tell that story. My version of that story is I was at the grand final, and Patrick Rafter was there with his very attractive wife-girlfriend, and I'm thinking, "Oh, they don't know who I am." And he sort of waved from the other side of the room, went like that. And towards the end of the day, I saw he was talking to Ian Thorpe, and I kind of bowled up and I said, "Yeah, g'day." And of course, Patrick Rafter says, "So you still playing saxophone, Wilbur?"
Well, of course, we had the Countdown reunion concerts a couple of years ago, and you had a couple of Guernseys there, Willie, obviously.
Yeah, with the Falcons and Frankie J. Red's video presentation as an homage to the fallen. Got a laugh every night.
Because obviously Skyhooks couldn't reform for the occasion.
That's right. I think the way it worked, I said, nothing would have pleased me more than to be able to play on this tour. But of course, sadly, our lead singer, Shirley Strawn, is no longer with us. And I sometimes look around to the other members of the band, Greg and Bob and Freddie, and think, Why couldn't it have been one of you?
On that note, we might take a break. When we come back, one of my favourite segments on this show, it's called Exhumed. See you in a minute. And welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Let's go to Exhumed. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find this footage, Red, because I have a very strong recollection of this. The first time I ever saw you appear on television was on Perfect Match.
Oh, yeah.
Now, just to set the scene, though, you were the single on Perfect Match.
I was the prize.
You were the prize, yeah. Go figure. Okay, and had the screen slid back and the girl screamed.
She did, yeah, she was... oh, that's right, and I bit her on the neck.
And where did you go? Did you go out?
No.
You stood her up.
Oh, don't make it sound like...
Hey, there's a woman out there
And there's a special surprise tonight.
Brian, one bit of footage I had no trouble finding. It's a very funny bit that Chrissy Amphlett actually showed me of her appearance on Rock Quiz. Do you recall the appearance?
I would never, ever forget Chrissy's appearance.
For very good reason. Let's have a look at Chrissy Amphlett on Rock Quiz.
Composer did Schroeder adore?
That's not Chrissy there.
Beethoven.
Correct.
So she gets a bit excited.
So he's just a punter, right?
Yep. He's loving it. It's Chrissy Amphlett.
Yeah.
He can't believe it's
What
happening.
a woman.
Which flamboyant American guitarist was slated to join Emerson, Lake and Palmer, turning them from ELP to HELP? ELP to help, yes?
Not Jimi Hendrix.
Absolutely correct.
Watching that. But what I love is the fact that Chrissy Amphlett showed you in New York that little bit of footage that was on the YouTube.
Well, it shows you can get a few laughs without even opening your mouth at all. Well, when I say... let me say that.
She was remarkable, and we had her with Chris Cheney from The Living End, and she did All the Boys in Town as her opening song, and for the... well... Sang? Oh, dear.
She sang All the Boys in Town.
She sang All the Boys in Town, and at the end, she and Chris Cheney duetted on the Rolling Stones' Stray Cat Blues. And when I found out that her husband was Charlie Drayton, who played drums with Keith Richards in The Expensive Winos, I thought, well, surely she'll get home to New York, she'll show Charlie what they did to the Rolling Stones song, Charlie will show Keith, Keith will ring me up saying, I want to come on Rock Quiz.
So when's he coming?
Never happened. But you went to Chrissy's house in New York.
I did. She wants to write a show, so I was over there for a couple of weeks just giving her a bit of a hand. So, and unfortunately, I know why you brought this up, because you know this is a total loser story.
Such a
that
good
you want
story.
me to tell.
You got to tell
Go
it.
on, tell it.
Come on.
This is the worst story ever, right? My friend who organised me to go over there, who's promoting the show that she's doing, Simon Morley, who you may know, remember from Puppetry of the Penis, and he was going down to Keith's place for the weekend to watch the World Cup and invited me to come along. Now, in the finish, Chrissy and I had a limited amount of time and we were working, and it was a bit political with her husband having left Keith's band to go and leave her in the work situation and go down to Keith's and just burn her for the weekend, basically, so I didn't go. So there's my story about how I didn't go to Keith Richards' place like a fucking...
I got one of those. There was the time at the Siebel Townhouse in Sydney. There was Joni Mitchell was there and a whole lot of rock and roll people. And Joni's manager said, Joni loves playing poker. Let's all play poker. And I was about to play poker with Joni Mitchell. And Gudinski said, no, let's go and see one of my crap bands at one of my crap venues, and that's what we did.
Now, we do have some footage which looked like, well, if not a party, then certainly a junket. It was a show that we've dug up called A Pub Too Far.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
that's
recall
good, yeah.
this?
Yeah,
That was
very well.
a junket.
That was a junket.
Basically, it involved the two of you going on a boat around Indonesia and the Indonesian islands.
A 120-foot schooner with our own air-conditioned staterooms. There were 6 of us on the boat and 14 crew.
Anyway, let's have a little bit of a look at A Pub Too Far Indonesian style with Red and Willie.
That's me.
Look at that.
I talk a bit of pig.
Look, he's happy, Red. Wagging his tail.
I guess he would be happy living on a Muslim island.
That's funny. It's funny. It was beset with a few issues, that trip. It cost a lot of money to get us over there. And a day before we left, there was a situation arose where, because, the Indonesian government are very particular with their travel arrangements so far, and we thought we'd covered everything, but our producer called me in a bit of a fit of panic saying we needed 4 new passport shots for some more documentation that we needed, and you need permits and everything to shoot on the, and it's been a little bit... Anyway, and so he said, can you get these to me? I have to have them at the embassy before midday. And I said, yeah, that's all right, I'll drop them off. I'll pre-record this radio show and I'll head over to Channel 9 where their offices were. So I brought him over the 4 new passport shots, and I think we have one here.
I think, and here's the passport photo you gave him.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Now, for the look on his face, the extra $12 I spent to get that photo, as well as a nice one, he sort of went, thanks, mate. Oh, we're stuffed.
Well, gentlemen, we're going to bat up a subject now. Let's go to parental guidance recommended. We like to be good parents, but it doesn't always work out. Brian, have you had any experiences?
In the last couple of weeks, you have a dream for what you want to do with your children. You are given an opportunity, and you think this could be a wonderful thing. It could bring us closer together. I was asked to be part of Prank Patrol, where kids...
It's like a candid camera show where they play some very elaborate pranks on the kids involved.
Very elaborate. And I was asked to be part of one called Super Dad. And the idea was I was to take my 8-year-old and my 12-year-old to a cafe. My 16-year-old would be in on the act, so she and I both had earplugs in. We had a director who was feeding us lines. I sat the kids down and I said, look, there's something I need to tell you. Something I've never told anyone, but I feel the time is right. I am a superhero. And of course they laughed and said, Dad, you know. I said, no. See that bottle over there? And they said, yeah. And they all looked at it and I went, and the bottle exploded.
That is so cool.
And they said, what? Dad, how did you... I said, look at this. You want that woman to drop that tray of plates and glasses? And they went, yeah. And I said, watch this. And she dropped them, and my 8-year-old completely freaked out. He said, Dad, stop! I don't like it. And you can see Claudia, who's in on it, looking at me going, Dad, this is getting weird. And he goes, Dad, I don't like this. I don't want you to be a superhero. And I had to pick him up and take him outside because I thought he's going to ruin this. We got outside. I said, Bub, it's just a show. It's Prank Patrol. And he goes, awesome, let's go. We went back in.
Beautiful. That's so sweet.
But here's a good little tip if you're having kids. You've got to make so many decisions even before you have them, right? When my wife was getting ready to have our first, she says, are we going to videotape the birth? And I'm going, well,
Let's throw to that footage now.
Well, Well, as a matter of fact, we could if I'd brought it. But the thing is, I'm just going, well, what do you want to videotape the birth for? I mean, when are you going to watch it? You're sitting home on a Saturday night going, geez, bugger all on telly. Let's watch you writhing in pain for 28 hours again, shall we? And she said, no, I want to do it. And I'm so glad we did, because now we've got it. It's a really handy parenting tool. Because now when the kids misbehave, we make them watch it again. And if they're really bad, we play it in reverse, make them disappear. It's the best.
Just on that subject, Sophie's my wife, my one and only wife, and Howard was her first child. And when we'd been to 3 of 6 birthing classes, they went through the bit where they say, for your first child, there's the chance that you have false labour and stuff like that. So when that happens, just take a Panadol and go back to bed. Sure enough, 5 o'clock in the morning, September 15th, 2000, Soph woke me up and said, it's happening. I said, no, Daz, look, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Your first child, probably a couple of weeks early, take a Panadol, go back to bed, because I watched a lot of Marcus Welby as a kid, So anyway, it all started happening, and about 6:15 we got into the car and headed off down the Eastern Freeway in peak hour traffic. Can I tell you, getting her into the car was like shutting the float door on a troublesome horse. I chucked a couple of dressing gowns and some towels in there. Anyway, off we went down the freeway. The back seat is like, head's coming out. Just keep your legs together, we'll be all right. We're off to the Mercy. It's so noisy in the back seat, and I'm trying to drive. And see, we get to Collingwood Town Hall. It goes quiet. I said, you all right, darling? And she said, yes, he's born. It's a boy. Right? I said, now, is he breathing? She says, no, well, the cord's wrapped around. He said, unwrap that. We'll be there soon. Right, so we get to the Mercy. I walked into the emergency. I said, now, that kid we were talking about? And they said, yeah, so he's sitting on the back seat. And so Sophie, from Woe to go to Woe, was like about an hour and a half. And as wonderful an experience it was, it's still a very good argument for vinyl upholstery. No, really.
When we come back, we'll have the Know Your Quiz. Thanks to Crazy Johns. We'll be back very shortly. Welcome back. Time for the Know Your Quiz. Thanks to Crazy Johns. Get aboard Crazy Johns Flat Chat, the home of the 10-cent per minute phone call. And thanks very much to Crazy Johns for their support. Our quiz tonight is Know Your Royals. And what happens here, gentlemen, I'll put up a photo of somebody and you have to tell me whether they are royalty or not. Let's go for the first one. Obviously, we'll start with an easy one just to get everyone going. And we couldn't actually find a photo of her not eating. But is she royalty or not?
Yes.
Well, as a matter of fact, she is not royalty anymore, even though she is allowed to keep her title. Just the fact that she was divorced means she is not a royal officially.
Oh, okay.
There's a great story. There's an Australian cinematographer, I wish I could remember his name, it's such a great story, who was introduced to the Queen at the opening of a movie, and the Queen said, my brother-in-law is a photographer. And this guy said, that's a coincidence because my brother-in-law is a queen.
True. What about this young lady?
Oh, good enough, yeah. I'll say yes.
Where was that taken?
Are you afraid you might be seen in the background or something?
Is she royalty or not?
Princess Mary of Denmark, yes. Very good. or my version of her. Oh, it's a trick question. She's got to be a princess.
It was, in fact, Q Stark. Who has tasted royalty, but is not actually royal herself, you may recall.
That's right, of course.
How about this guy? Is he royalty or not?
Yes, he is.
Well, depends whose point of view.
In his point of view...
Prince Leonard?
Prince Leonard of Hutt River
very
Province.
nicely done. Very nicely done. Of course, Hutt River Province, he seceded from the Australian Federation, and there he was, Prince Leonard. And there she is, Princess Shirley.
Hey!
And, not pictured, of course, was the heir to the throne, Prince Ian. And how about this lass?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. Head over heels in love with her.
Head over heels in love with Marie Antoinette, yes. It got very hard for her to wear the crown at a certain stage, though.
Just slipped out of it, bit of slippage on the crown.
And, of course, our last photo, to wind it up, There's, of course, Camilla Parker Bowles.
Who may become Queen of England.
1,000,000 to 1.
Yeah.
How would that happen if he...
I don't know.
He doesn't
they're
get
royals.
to make the rules.
Yeah, they're royals. They can do anything they want. They're like musicians and B-grade celebrities. They're not accountable for any of their actions.
Well, who do you think our winner is? I'm not sure. Red, Willie?
It's got to be Wilbur.
No, possibly. I think Wilbur Wilde. Ladies and gentlemen, our winner tonight, Wilbur Wilde. Off to know your quiz. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have time for. Will you please thank our guests, Red Symons, Wilbur Wilde, and Brian Nankervis. Thank you so much from the Statesmen of Comedy. Thanks and good night.